Welcome everyone to this call. As much as we play host as Ziwani, we genuinely believe that this is a space we're trying to create for all the different of us who have this heart to see this continent transformed through what Christian business leaders, Christian marketplace leaders are doing and can do in different parts of this continent. So we're excited to be able to just bring us together and continue to have these conversations and continue to allow God to lead us into ways we can collaborate, partner, pray, support, champion each other, and the different things that are happening in different parts of the continent. And so I'm excited to see all of you here for this first call for the year. I'm Mwangi Mudhui. I'm part of the Zwani team. I am based out of Nairobi, Kenya. But excited to be able to engage with all of you. Is there anyone who this is their first time on the ecosystem call? Karen.
Yes, my first time as well.
Kim.
It's
Welcome.
Kim, yeah.
Welcome. Glad to have you. Could I ask all of us if we can, if you can click the rename button. So trying to figure out where you find that. So if you right click, I think your profile, and when you go to your name at the side and see more, and just click the rename, and you can put just what organization you're from on the side, just so we can get a feel of who's in the room. That would be really helpful if we can just do that renaming if you haven't already. All right, so as we jump into today's call, we thought it would be really great if we got to spend some time with each other in a smaller setting. And so we are going to break out into small rooms. And the aim is just to be able to have a 5 or so minute conversation with 2 or 3 people, just finding out what is it you are greatly expecting for this year? What has the year started like for your organization? What are the things you're longing for as the year keeps unfolding? What are the challenges you're praying through and hoping God can help you navigate as you look ahead into this year? And then we'll give that about 5 or so minutes, and then Yonita will put you in another room. So you get to do that with 2 different groups of people, which allows you to get to hear a little bit about what's happening with different organizations. You may not get to do that with everyone, but at least you'll get to do that with a couple of people who are on the call. And so I'm going to ask Yonita to quickly just put us into groups.
I'm Gwenda from Zawani. I was in some of your groups. Some of you won't know me. But I just would love to hear a little bit of feedback from the groups. What were some of the common themes or common excitement, common prayer, common desire for this year? I'll quickly tell you what happened in our groups. A lot of people's organizations seem to be pivoting, as Zawani is, from a completely fully funded organization to one that's now more of a social enterprise, where we have to start seeing which products we can sell, but still wanting to serve the continent and serve the business people really well. So just really needing God's wisdom in that. And that came across actually in both the groups that I was in. So, but yeah, I'd love to hear, and also an excitement for working together and just learning from each other. It was very cool. I don't know if anybody else would love to share what was in their group.
I've got very little to share. I think I was tossed back and fro in 2 seconds in different groups. So I blame either Gwenda or Junita, one of the two. But Kim got to meet a bit, and Greg. I remember Kim was talking about, I think, doing some consulting work and using business as a means of discipleship. Greg spoke a bit about strategy and building a diversified portfolio for impact. So yeah, quite interesting. I think maybe what I'll say is very interesting that you actually within an ecosystem, but you actually don't know each other. So I think that was very interesting to say. Probably, maybe it's a good thing to say the ecosystem is growing.
Yeah, thanks, Floyd. Anybody else have something that that stood out to them in the groups?
As Floyd said, unfortunately, I was just trying to get into the first group and we're tossed into the second one, but I didn't get to, I got to know about Mwangi a bit, but I know him, and I was in Jo's group earlier, but she didn't get a chance to introduce herself to me, and I landed up in Floyd's group. So yeah, but
Okay.
what does sound from that is that it sounded like, particularly to Floyd, that there was a lot of what they were doing that we also in the process of doing. So that was good and interesting to make his acquaintance. Thanks.
Awesome. So I think the common theme is that we need more time together and just to get to know each other so much better. And yeah, I think as Mwangi said at the beginning, the purpose of these calls is it's not as a Zewani call, but just a ecosystem call, because we really believe that we're part of this group that has this ever-growing opportunity to serve God through serving the business people on our continent, and then obviously they're going to be serving their communities, and sure, we can just see this continent transformed. And like I think I said it in my one group, you know, in the word it says, where there's unity, God commands a blessing. And it's just really exciting to collaborate and brainstorm with you guys. And as Mwangi said, champion what you're doing, because our friend Dr. Dennis said in one of our videos that I just saw again yesterday, he said, God's vision is always going to be so much bigger than anything you can do on your own. And so I'm just really excited to be here with all of you. And yeah, I wish we got more time to hear what everybody's doing, but we'll make a plan. We'll organize something. Mwangi, over to you.
One of the things we love about this call is that we actually get to hear in depth about what God is doing in some organizations. We are not able to hear from everyone in depth each time. And so every round we do this, getting to hear from different organizations what God is doing in their space allows us to really sit with that reality of God being on the move in different organizations and in different parts of the world. And so my encouragement is, even as we listen to two organizations today, think through one, how can you support them? How can you pray for them? How can you champion them through the things that they share? Really excited to introduce Jo, who will be the first one to share today. She's part of BAM Global, Businesses Mission Global. I think we've had BAM Africa share before on this call, but we've never had BAM Global share. And we stumbled upon something they're doing around ecosystem mapping, and we really got excited and thought this would be great to hear from them. So Jo is the creative director and co-founder of BAM Global, and she'll tell us a little bit more about herself, what she's doing, what BAM Global is doing versus BAM in Africa, etc., and just be able to learn from what they're currently trying to put together around mapping of the ecosystem as well. So over to you, Jo. Really excited to hear from you. Thanks.
Thanks so much, Mwangi. It's a delight to be here. Really an honor. I've been looking at what Zewani has been doing from afar for a while, and it's really wonderful to be with you and learn more and share what we're doing too for Businesses Mission. So I'm one of the leaders of Businesses Mission Global, BAM Global, and also a catalyst for Businesses Mission in the Lausanne movement. So Businesses Mission Global is just a very small organization in the middle of a really big network of networks. But as an organization, we have 6 key initiatives. Thank you for sharing my slides in here. And I've put a link to our ecosystem map in the chat there. If you want to open that up in a tab and look at that or look at it later, that's just one thing that we're doing as part of our media communications initiative. So media and communications is like our window into the Businesses Mission ecosystem, but really the activity of building the ecosystem for Businesses Mission and then mapping it happens through all of our initiatives. So we have these different ones. We have an online portal, we have a community of practice for network leaders, which feels like it's a little bit like this call. You're bringing other network leaders together and just learning from one another. So it's a bit like what you're doing here with your ecosystem calls. We have online events. Our annual summit's coming up in May. And we do consultations, we publish white papers, and we have a prayer initiative. So as I think you probably already know, Business's mission, although BAM Global is a small organization in the middle of a big network, Business's mission is really an idea. It's a community. It's not one organization. It's a community made up of individuals, companies, nonprofits, mission agencies, incubators, accelerators. Some of you are those other networks that are focused on regions or particular issues or industries, churches, academic institutions, investors and mentors, and so on. You get the idea. And the one thing that we all have in common is that we believe that business is part of God's design for human flourishing. That's why you guys are all here. And so business in itself has a innate power to do good in the world and bring glory to God. And that's the integration of faith and work. It's got this innate power. But in Business's mission, we apply that into really intentionally harnessing the power of business as we respond to God's mission call to us as followers of Jesus. So he's called us on mission to take the gospel to the whole world, to care for the needy, to free people from injustice. So how can we take our companies, our businesses, and leverage the power of those to intentionally do that missional work? So that's Business's mission. And of course, around each company, we need a whole ecosystem to help the business owner flourish, to help the company succeed. And that's what the sound of it is, what Zewani is all about for African business leaders. We do that globally for Business's mission. So there's a big overlap between the faith and work ecosystem and the Business's mission ecosystem. They're not exactly the same, but there's a big overlap there. And so we've been doing this. So you can go back actually to the websites. That's it. Yeah. So we've been doing this ecosystem supporting work in the Business's mission community for about 25 years through different projects and initiatives. And BAM Global itself as an entity was launched about 10 years ago. But for instance, we've had businessesmission.com since 2002. So that's 23 years ago. We have these two websites. BAMglobal.org is our organization website, and then businessesmission.com is one of our initiatives or projects that lives under media and communications. And our resource library is on businessesmission.com. So the ecosystem map, if you like, lives in two main places. So you can go to the next slide. It started with this online living directory, and just for fun I put Zewani at the top there. You can see if you go to businessesmission.com library, it's on there, although I have to say it's usually fairly near the top. So we have if you look on the right there, you'll see we have lots of different categories in our library: articles and papers. It's like a resource library, books, events, training and courses, and so on. But the ecosystem map really started on the organizations and networks page of the resource library. And then more recently, our collaborator, our friend, John Bird, who works for another organization called the Stone Table, came to us. He'd started visually mapping the ecosystem on a diagram, and he had started with the resource library on businessesmission.com. So he came to us and said, how can we collaborate more on this? So it's definitely been a collaboration between the Stone Table and Business's Mission or BAM Global. And we helped him make more connections so that he could do deeper research into parts of the ecosystem, like incubation, training and education, member care, and also Pragma Advisors, who some of you may have read their report. I highly recommend it. They have been already mapping the ecosystem for Business for Transformation and Business's Mission in the area of investment funds. So we just kind of used their map for that part of that segment on capital and investment. So if you go to the next slide, you'll see this is just a diagram of the ecosystem map. Yes. So this is what it looks like. You can go to the link I posted earlier, but it's a bit small on the slide. So the 5 main categories I've just listed onto the right there. So if this is published as a Canva whiteboard, and it's linked from our resource library online, and you can zoom in. If you go to the link, you can zoom in on it and click. All of the logos are live, and I think you'll see all of your organizations, except maybe 1 or 2 there, are actually on the map. So if you feel like you want to add something, you can click the button that's on the page and submit your resource there, and we'll add it. So I was asked to share a little bit about our ecosystem mapping journey and what we have been learning from it. So Business' Mission Global, we do things to serve the BAM ecosystem that frontline organizations and companies can't do. So we try and not duplicate what the likes of Zawani and investment funds and incubators, you guys, there's hundreds and thousands of things going on out there, and we're trying for Business' Mission not to duplicate any of those things, but just focus on some functions and initiatives that would help serve the global ecosystem. So we have 3 main functions. So you could go to the next slide as we do that. So we nurture, and all of these functions are enhanced by us mapping our ecosystem. So we nurture partner networks. So we're helping create connections between networks with our ecosystem mapping, and we drive people out to them. We deliver essential resource. That's our second key function. And delivering essential resources means both creating resources. So we do create resources ourselves, but we curate them, which is essentially ecosystem mapping. We're aggregating the resources on our library and helping people to find them through the living map and a web page. And then creating global forums is important for gathering people in, so that they can learn about parts of the ecosystem that they didn't know about. And when I say global forums, I do mean events. We have online events and meetings, but we also create global forums through our online community as well, bringing people into a safe, secure online space, and also through our consultation work, which we call BAM Global Think Tanks. And I mention this because we really started as a think tank. We were the BAM Global Think Tank before we developed these other initiatives. The main think tank project that Matstuna Haag and I co-founded involved 30 working groups involving over 300 people. That was in 2011 to 2013, right before we became BAM Global. And I think that did help catalyze the necessary research to map existing resources. We brought people in to talk about what was going on in different areas of Business' Mission, like investment, or using Business' Mission to do church planting or to fight human trafficking and so on, lots of different specialist areas. But the most important outcome of that work really was to build trusted relationships with a large network of people. So we often say that we're building intellectual capital and relational capital through all our activities. And it really feels like that's what Zawani is doing as well. So just as I close here, just a few things that we have learned through our experience of mapping the Business' Mission ecosystem. So the first thing, and I think you can go to the next slide now. Yeah, that service, we've tried to be a neutral entity in the Business' Mission landscape, and as we've served, and we've been serving for quite a while now, that just gives us a special ability, really, a special power, if you like, because we're so neutral. We're not primarily promoting our own products and services, so people trust us to be sort of an honest broker in the BAM space, and that has created foundations for generous information sharing and collaboration. So we found, as we've given things things away, people then are willing to give us information, which really helps us. So I heard earlier that, you know, Ziwani has been pivoting, you know, how are we going to be sustainable? What's our model? And, you know, you may have a different model to us, but I think the principle of serving and just giving some things away, which I feel like that's what you're doing, that helps to bring trust and sort of a generous exchange of information. The second thing is that it's taken time. We've been going for more than 20 years. We've had a small team with a relatively small capacity, just because we have, you know, we've struggled with this issue of how we resource ourselves, how we're sustainable. And the answer was to scale really slowly and wait for the right resources and team and collaborators to come along to help us do it. It has taken time, but sometimes going at the pace of relationship building is good, although I'm sure that you'll do things a lot quicker than we have in Africa. And then having dedicated resources and a team to keep the ecosystem map live and up to date has been really important. It's had seasons when it hasn't been so up to date, and I think that adds value if people know that that's a go-to place. And also that finally that yeah, to build as many partnerships as possible in the process. It not only makes it more rewarding to do that ecosystem mapping with others, but it's also way more fun. So that's what we have learned. Yeah, I don't know, I'll probably leave it there and see if, oh yeah, that's, I don't know whether you want to bring these out in questions, because I've probably just gone over a little bit over my time, but yeah, what do you want me to do? Answer some questions and maybe talk about this for Africa, or keep going?
Let's answer some of the questions. If it doesn't come up in the questions, then you can just quickly talk about it at the Q&A.
Yeah.
But we just wanted to offer, I mean, it's a chance for us to be able to just ask any questions we may have for Jo around any of the things she's mentioned. And it's an open invitation to any of us. You can unmute, you can type in the chat. Yeah, any questions for Jo?
Hey, Jo. Christo here.
Hey.
I would like to know just a brief, easy layman's definition of the difference between business's mission, tent making, and workplace ministry.
Oh, okay. We only spent about a decade unpacking that. No, I'm just kidding. That's a great question. I think there's a big overlap, as I said. Faith at work is any kind of integration between your Christian faith and your professional work, whatever that is. Very similar to workplace ministry, where that's the application of that idea to be ministers in the workplace. You could be in any vocation, doing any kind of work, and it's any kind of faith interaction. Business's mission is taking that idea, so it's built on the same foundations as faith and work, but it's applying that idea into taking your whole company model. So it's particularly in the business sphere, business's mission. So, you could do faith and work integration as a nurse, as a teacher, in any vocation. Tent making is the same. You could go and be a tent maker. You could go and be a integrate ministry with any kind of vocation in tent making. Tent making overlaps with business's mission a lot, where tent makers are taking the whole company that they're running and leveraging that for missional impact. So that's really business's mission, where you're thinking about not only each individual in the company having an faith integration and having an impact in the workplace, but also the whole company model, the products you make, your employees, your strategy for your market or your customers. You're thinking about that, and it's very intentional about missional impact. So there's a big overlap, but we have some great resources on our website, businessesmission.com, on our start section, if any of you want to kind of just explore that further, like how we define business's mission. It's a great question, though.
Hi, Jo. I have a question.
Hi, Edward.
How can we have Edward from Togo? How can we have a business as mission work in Togo as partner? Or if we want, because we see the need to help our business leaders to have this mindset to consider themselves as missionary everywhere they are and what they do, and also the youth also need a lot of training to understand the entrepreneurship. Many want to venture, but they don't know how. So how can we work together with you?
Yeah, that's a great question too. Well, this is one of the things we're trying to build right now is part of our partner network initiative. So there are already I said before that we don't do things that other people are already doing on the front lines. So we would never start something like Ziwani because Ziwani already exists, for instance. And what we try and do in individual companies is work through existing networks. So there are many networks around the world that have grabbed hold of this idea of business as mission and want to run with it. And then we would help support that network grow and develop. And it would then, if it wanted to become an affiliated partner network with us. And part of the value of that is coming together with other network leaders that are around the world and learning from what they're doing. So it's like a community of practice, very much like you're doing in Ziwani here, but a community of practice. So we're still building that on-ramp for new partner networks. Last year, we launched our partner network initiative, and we're working with existing partnerships in Africa. We had one for Southern Africa, although that has to be relaunched because of some personnel. We lost our key person, but we also have networks in Cameroon, Zambia. These are partner networks coming online in Ethiopia, Egypt. Just trying to think. A lot of interest in West Africa right now, all across West Africa, and some of our people are same as your people. So Dennis Tongoy, for instance, I was just looking at this. He spoke in our congress we had an in-person congress in 2013. He did the keynote on BAM perspectives from Africa. I watched it yesterday, actually. A prophetic call for the business mission community in Africa. So yeah, there's a lot of overlap in terms of people. I don't know if that answers your question, Edward, but we're building. But we can be in touch if anyone wants to find out more about how that works. You can email me, and I probably will put my email address in here. I'm just going to add something. So we work a lot in partnership with discipling marketplace leaders that are really active across Africa. I don't know if you've come across them.
We are already working together with them.
With Renita, yeah. So Renita leads our BAM and the church network. And so because I feel like the church is a strategic institution in Africa, for this message spreading. And so basically a lot of times when we have interest from parts of Africa that we know DML are already working, we just find out what they're already doing. That's what I mean by we don't duplicate what's already happening.
Right.
We will just work in partnership and just keep communicating.
Thank you so much, Jo, for sharing. Really appreciate it. Her email is there. Please let's reach out if you have more questions beyond what we've been able to share now. If you would like to see ways in which you can engage. Yeah, thank you, Jo.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
We want to now introduce the second organization. Joshua Pirwot, who's based in Uganda, is the country director of AVODA Group in Uganda. They have a lovely center there that we've had the privilege of visiting, and they're doing just a tremendous work with entrepreneurs in Uganda, and would love to hear more about what they're doing and ways we can, come alongside them, champion them, partner with them. So Joshua, over to you.
My name is Joshua. I am country director for AVODA Group Uganda. And what we do is we train entrepreneurs We've been doing that for close to 10 years now. June started off. June, our CEO, started off by founding another organization called African Business Institute, which was under African Bible Colleges as an academic program. But during COVID, we pivoted our interests because the interests of the Christian entrepreneurs had changed too, to desire a more entrepreneurial program. So we shrinked our program to 6 months and founded the AVODA Institute of Entrepreneurship. Over the last a few years, the few years that we have worked, we've run 3 cohorts. We have trained some 300 plus entrepreneurs through our programs. We have run other programs, especially with in our consulting projects, other programs with the government of Uganda, but also JICA, Japanese International Corporations Agency, and other institutions as well. We have trained and helped co-create some 50 plus startups. What we really believe in is that Christ is King of all. You can see that in this, our centerpiece of a logo. Christ is King of all. Business is a strategic tool that can be used to build the kingdom. And we can do that by launching triple bottom line businesses. Triple bottom line businesses, such as some of these over the past 4 years that we have done. Really, businesses that are ranging from micro to small, micro to small. Over the past 4 years, we have accelerated maybe 2 medium enterprises, and by medium we mean businesses earning over $100,000 and above a year. We have accelerated 2. But we focus on this, the micro and small businesses. These are some of them that you can look at. We are, and this is partly where we can collaborate with some of you on. We are expanding into Tanzania. Some of you may actually know some of these people from Kalila, and we held a kind of boot camp to test out our model in Tanzania last year. We have done so again this year to refine our approach, and we will be partnering with 2 organizations to kind of roll out our model in Tanzania. I'll explain what that is composed of shortly. But if you are in Tanzania or know someone in Tanzania, a church or an institution, marketplace focused institution that you can work with, I would appreciate the connection. The second part that I think I can collaborate with some of you on is what we call the AVICS and the AVODA suite. So over our acceleration and incubation period of entrepreneurs, we realized that it's difficult to constantly accelerate. There needs to be a better approach to it, because all the entrepreneurs we have incubated and accelerated, when it comes to investor conversations, it is becoming extremely complex, because people want to invest in people they know, how can we help investors coming into Uganda, into Africa, know and trust the the local businesses. Just recently, I was having a conversation with someone who was making rounds around East Africa, and he said part of the difficulty is because the systems of trust that our Western Christian brothers and sisters know and understand is very, very different from systems of trust that the African church and the African brothers and sisters in the marketplace know and understand. And sometimes it creates a mistrust, not because there is a character or even sin going around, but because of the difference in systems. So we created this tool that tracks performance of the entrepreneur. So what it does is whenever the student attends a class, they check in their attendance. Whenever they pay tuition, they check in their receipt of payment. Whenever they do any exams or quiz, they check that in. It also has, the FACO model, some of it at least, including next of kin. Do you have assets? Do you have insurance? And so on and so on. And all this goes on to create is worked through our algorithm to create a credit score, mostly maybe 80% behavioral credit score and 20%, the rest of the things that can actually be tracked. And then from that credit score, we calculate an interest rate. So this is how it looks like on the entrepreneur side. The first phone slide is when they come in, they just click that lower button of log attendance. They just click that and the attendance is logged. When the exam is available, it shows, and right on that C is their credit score. And from that credit score, in the back end, we calculate an interest rate that they can get. It also has a provision, especially for the micro and small businesses to enter their business details. They can basically use the platform, the app, as a tool to keep their records of transactions, issue receipts, their transactions, sales, expenses, issue receipts, issue invoices, and so on. That way, we are also coaching them better because we have we know exactly where to coach them on because we're also coaching them on the numbers. Yes, this is how it looks like in the back end, in the admin end. We see how people are basically performing, their interest rate, and their recommended. They recommended a risk on them. So what the AVICS is a baseline for conversations. It's not saying, hey, an investor must use this. Saying, hey, start from here. So that when you're having a conversation, you know exactly how to navigate this conversation. Of course, the other part of the conversation, which is not included in the AVICS yet, is macroeconomic numbers such as inflation rate, dollar exchange rate, and consumer price index, and so on and so on. That is not included here, but this is a baseline for conversations. Yes, I'll end by saying I think those are the two important things that I wanted to share with you about that we are doing. That so we train entrepreneurs. Our training is tracked using our platform, which is the AVICS, and we think that the AVICS can be used by other accelerators, other Christian accelerators, to not just train. The training is the easy part, but to track quantitative data on the entrepreneurs from which we can bridge the gap in communication between not just investors across the world, but as investors across Africa too. It has actually been a very good tool for me to initiate conversations with even local people who never thought they would invest in local businesses because they have something to work with other than I know you and you are my relative. And now they can think of investing in local businesses too, because there is a quantitative data attached, but there is also an institution behind that quantitative data. So that's something that I would put out there for any organization that would be interested in something like that, that we can work together on. I think we are in our development process of the app. We are still in phase 3. We have five phases of development, and we are also willing to have Christian accelerators work through this so that we know how best we can help Christian businesses in the small, in the micro and small enterprises across Africa. Thank you so much. I'll just take any questions.
Just to say, yes, very, very exciting, very interesting, Joshua. Well done, doing some good work. It's something I'd be interested in, engaging with Joshua. If you could, I think he sent his email address now, so we'll make some contact. He's focusing on micro and small, and that's one element of it for us, maybe on the agri side. But yeah, it'd be interesting to not to reinvent the wheel, to see if we can work with you guys on your platform and achieve what we want to achieve. Thanks, Joshua. We'll be in touch. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Gregory. Appreciate that.
Hi, Josh. Thanks for the presentation. For me, it's around your guys' training for entrepreneurs. Do you guys have active resources that you guys use or that you guys create yourselves? Or are you always actively looking for resources to add or to add value to the trainings that you guys offer? By resources, I mean like content, books, sometimes even Bibles.
Yes, we currently have resources that we used. We are also on the platform right now. There are two courses already uploaded. We are working on other courses as well, and that's the other thing. We would love to explore ways, especially for people who have content that we could use on the platform for the free end. We would love to explore those conversations to make sure that we can provide some things for free and some things are paid for. By the way, Vincent, just to mention, the African Study Bible was a must read while I was doing my theological course at ABU, African Bible University of Uganda. So it was a must read. It was a really, really useful tool for contextual exegesis and even just preaching. It was a really, really useful tool. But yes, to answer your question, would love to have a conversation on any stuff. Right now, it would be difficult for us to integrate paid stuff on the platform. It would involve a lot of economics that we are not ready for right now, but maybe in a year or two. But anything for free that can be integrated on the platform, we can explore that conversation immediately and see how that can work. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Just for the sake of the time that we have committed for the call, allow me to pause the Q&A at that point. As always, it's a joy being able to hear what everyone is doing and being able to touch base. And my hope is that we continue to reach out to each other, even after this call, continue to engage, have coffees for those in the same region, have calls for those who are in different regions, and just hear what God is doing and ways in which we can champion, collaborate, partner with each other. Let me encourage us, those of us who are not, we have a WhatsApp group that allows us to share some of the things happening in our different spaces. And I think it just makes it easier to share some of these links, invites to events and things like those. So it's a very simple QR code that you can scan. For sure, I guarantee you it's not an annoying WhatsApp group. So you don't have to fear that it'll add to the tally of WhatsApp groups that you've had to mute and archive. People are very well controlled in there. And so please scan the QR code, join the group. It's a good way to know what others are involved in and things that you can collaborate. Thank you very much for joining. It's been a joy seeing you all. We'll be having more of these as the year goes on. We hope to usually have about 3 or 4 of them in the course of the year. And so looking forward to inviting you to the next one and seeing what we'll be able to learn and hear from other organizations as the year goes on as well. But thank you very much and have a lovely, lovely day.